Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
So before we begin, what I would like to do is I didn't introduce your companies because I thought, you know what, why don't you do this yourself? So you're the CEO and founder of Luzia. I actually downloaded Luzia on my app the other week. It's pretty cool, but tell us more about what Luzia is all about.
Yep. So Luzia is the leading AI assistant for especially young people in LATAM. We have one of the most downloads apps in the world. Like this year, we have over 70 million downloads, which make us, I don't know, 2, 3 top in the region, in the top 20 worldwide. And what we try to do in Luzia is to try to bring, and this will be probably the topic of today's presentation, but try to bring AI to that 80% of people in LATAM that doesn't sit behind a desk every day, and trying to improve their life and trying to make them not fall behind in this AI revolution.
Thank you. And you, Pablo?
Yeah, so I'm Pablo Gil, co-CEO and co-founder of PropHero, which is a platform that allows its clients to buy, to create wealth, property wealth, internationally, diversified. And it's a company we started 4 years ago. We are now operating in 4 countries, Australia, Spain, Indonesia, and Ireland. Our vision is to create property wealth similarly to how ETFs work, where you can just invest through a click in your app and just have a global diversified portfolio of properties.
So the topic of today's conversation is obviously how founders rewriting the rules with AI and data. And so I'd like to just begin by understanding what that actually means for you and your company. So if you could maybe give like an elevator pitch style answer to what does that mean for you, for each of your companies? Do you want to start maybe, Alvaro?
Yep. So the way I see AI and data and how it's actually changing the industry is it gives you freedom. Like if you take Luzia, and if you were to see Luzia in 2022, you would think that Luzia is the best AI assistant in the world for legal, for real estate, for teaching, for education, something that would have cost hundreds of millions for big companies to put together and to make it work. It is now extremely accessible and extremely easy to develop and abstract a lot of complexity. If we step back and think about the implications that has for all the founders, is the fact that you have that freedom to build, you have that freedom to actually put together products and projects that otherwise would have been impossible and only big incumbents could afford. So AI for me is that freedom, is the freedom to go back to build.
Just following on what you said about complexity, so how do you think AI has helped you to shift that complexity? What's been the biggest shift that you've been able to achieve with AI in this space, would you say?
So the complexity, if you think about AI as a generalist technology, like similar to electricity or computers, most people don't really need to understand how electricity is generated or computers work. They don't know what a transistor is. They don't really need to. So a general purpose technology like generative AI in this case, basically what it helps you is to create that level of abstraction necessary to provide products that can be used in many different use cases. As I mentioned, for us, it's mostly education, it's companionship, it's starting to be transactions now, people buying through Luzia. All those things can be done because this technology abstracts you from the complexity. And now you can start serving many more use cases with simpler developments.
Let's hear from you. What does data or rewriting the rules with AI and data mean for you?
Yeah, so we all know how AI is transforming every industry right now. For us, I would mention like twofold. Like on one hand, it's about speed. We are able to launch and to test many MVPs much faster rather than waiting for the tech department to just develop those many features. So on one hand, we have speed, and then on the other hand, we are able to find places to invest. So our clients invest through PropHero in properties in areas outside, let's say, Madrid or Barcelona, like main capital cities. And we are able to go to to go to those areas ahead of the market, because we can predict what are the areas that are going to increase more in value or are going to perform better. And obviously, 3 years ago when we started in Spain, it was a vision. It was like the first believers trusted us on these models. And now we measure how much we've outperformed the market. And that's all through data. So our data models, our predictive data models, like allow us to find those areas ahead of the market. And we measure it, and for a fact, like if Spain has grown 7% on real estate last year, PropHero areas have grown by 10%, and PropHero properties by 14%. So this is something that we are able to do thanks to data and AI.
I'd like to talk a little bit more about Luzia, right? So obviously you built something that requires trust, right? In order for adoption to work, customers need to trust your product. And so what do you think makes people trust your product and keep using AI over other competitors?
Couple of things. One, and I mentioned this already, we obsess over abstracting complexity from the user. They always say that when you start a company, you have to have some sort of insight. Now we started in 2023, and every time I pitch to someone, we were always saying technology is going to get commoditized, therefore that's not where I should focus. I should focus on product and distribution. And that worked out very well. And what that means for us is that even though we could do a lot of things with AI, and almost the number of possibilities is infinite at this point, we needed to choose properly how and what to put in front of the users. Because we are not doing AI for sophisticated users, we are not doing AI for prosumers, we are doing AI for everyone else. And that everyone else, what needs to, or what has in their mind as a mental model for what an AI assistant is, like if I were doing this pitch in 2023, I would have to explain you what an AI assistant is. 2025, you kind of understand it, but many people still in the world don't understand that. So what we needed to do is what we call, hey, let's make it in your face. Let's make it extremely, extremely clear that this is what you can do with Luzia. Because at that point, when people started using Luzia, they were like, an AI assistant is Siri, or an AI assistant is Alexa, and those are crappy products, and I'm asking you for the weather, and you're not able to give me the weather, but they are able to give me the weather. However, they were not able to understand the fact that I could solve their mathematical problems, I could help them in organize events, I could help them with shopping. All those things were completely new for them. So our job was to break those mental models and educate users and make it extremely, extremely accessible. And that has been the obsession from the very beginning. That's number one. Number two of the assumption is that brand and connection with the user was going to be very important. So we devoted from the very beginning a lot of time to, hey, how do we present Luzia? How do we make it more relatable? How do we make people to feel like they have some sort of connection, not speaking about friendship, but connection in the same way you have it with Nike, with a well-known brand. So while everyone else in the space were very cold brands and mostly very tech logos, we wanted to create that connection with the user. So you have an idea of how important this was for us. When we were around 15 people in the company, we are 38 right now. 4 of those 13 people were actually brand people. We put a lot of effort on how to connect with users.
I think this is also an important question for you, building trust with your customers, especially if AI is involved, right? If you're thinking about investing in property, it's quite a serious endeavor, right? So what is it that you're doing? How are you building trust with your customers? What's some of the feedback that you're getting?
Yeah, I think I resonate a lot with Alvaro. So on one hand, as I was mentioning before, it's about outperforming the market. I mean, when you've shown that you have a good investment product, clients repeat. But then secondly, and I think even most importantly, is simplicity. So I don't know how many of you will have invested in property and have experienced how painful it is. So you have to deal with notaries, you have to deal with renovations, you have to deal with tenants, property managers. So how to make it simple? Like most of the people end up investing once, and that's all for me. I mean, I'm done. So PropHero has allowed our clients to make it very simple, and to eventually our vision is to be able to manage your property wealth through a click. similarly to how Amazon did it in the days, and how many packages of Amazon do we receive per week at home. So our vision, by making it simple and being able to manage your property wealth through a click, we believe clients will transact more and will allow them to continue to optimize and grow their property wealth. So I think it's all about simplicity, making it very, like just buying in a click. But again, we're in the real estate industry, which is like a kind of in the medieval age. So it's quite an endeavor we have there.
I have another. Yeah, you wanted to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. As I have another follow-up question. You talk a lot about simplicity, right? And so I think if we think about entrepreneurship and really, innovating, creating something innovative, right, that actually produces revenue, let's say it that way, we need to be creating solutions that are also technically ambitious, right, to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. So how do we do that? How do we keep that balance between keeping it simple for our users, but also ensuring that we are technically ambitious, that we do things maybe that our competitors don't do? Either of you.
I think it's not contradictory or not even a trade-off. If you think about very good consumer products, like I will bet with most people in this room that they are not able to name all the Samsung phones that today they are in the market. I don't know how many models, different price points they have. And then you have Apple, which have, as of today or this year, three types of phones. And they're giving you very beautiful, distinguishable products that are simple and that simply work for you. Like, I think complexity doesn't mean differentiation in many ways, and simplicity together with brand can create that differentiation. And that's a bit of the bet that we've done. As of this year, ChatGPT with GPT-5, now you don't need to theoretically select the type of model that you want to talk to, whether it's a reasoning model, which takes more time and gives you better answers, or is simply NLM, which gives you faster but worse responses. We started doing that 2 years ago. Like, users don't really care about the model. Like, we've proven it, we put it in front of the user, we test it, and they prove that. And I think that simplicity, that accessibility is what creates differentiation, not having to enter into very technical or very complex product that users won't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Like, for me, I would even summarize it in focus. Like, one of the things we spend more time on is on making sure, okay, we're, like, a sentence we keep saying in our companies, stop starting, start finishing, right? Like, it's one of the issues we always come up as new startups is the amount of things that you would like to do. And as founders, we're passionate about creating things, doing more things. And then you realize when you just focus on one thing and execute that one thing and do it perfectly. So, and the same happens with clients. When you're offering them, like, you go to a restaurant, you have like 30 different pages for a menu, you end up getting lost and asking the waiter, here, hey, what should I ask for? What should I order? And so for us, that's the way we think. When our clients come to us, they know they want to put their money to work. And they want to do it through property. So we're going to show them the property that suits them for their purpose. So again, it's about being pragmatic and just focusing on one thing, which is easier said than done.
Yeah, yes.
But that's the biggest work we do.
You're smiling.
No, it's especially, he's completely right, because we love to play as founders, and like when you have something as, like one of the things I miss from the very beginning of Luzia is actually that ability or that time to build, because it was everything, it was easier. Like, I would send code to production, I would try this new thing, and now I have to have actually 60 million users or whatever the number is, and that remains simple when you have so many users, and when sometimes, this is especially true for consumer, when sometimes a very small amount of users can be extremely noisy, and if you remove one feature just to simplify because it hasn't worked, you launch it, it doesn't work, we remove it, then you have suddenly a spike on bad reviews, and that screw up like the downloads for that week. It's like, you need to be careful on how to handle those two things when it's fun to play, when it's fun to build things, but you need to remain simple.
It's a delicate little plant, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit about funding, right? Consumer AI is obviously a very appealing field. It's evolving rapidly, and what we're seeing is that funding tends to kind of gravitate more towards healthcare and enterprise application in terms of AI. So how do you see this part of the market evolving within Europe and within Spain? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think here we'll have two very, very different views, like, because Alvaro is more capital intensive, but obviously our view has been since the beginning to make a sustainable business that doesn't require the funding of VCs or external money. This doesn't mean that we don't take it, but it has to be like a sustainable business, and that's been our focus since the beginning. We are EBITDA, free cash flow positive, and that's how we want to continue to grow. And this doesn't mean we're not being ambitious, we're growing at 2.5x year on year, growing into different countries, investing in technology, but always from a very sustainable point of view. And the reason being is because we've seen so many times VCs changing what's their hype. Now the hype is AI. 2 years ago it was B2B SaaS, then it was whatever. And then suddenly things change, and as founders, or at least my view is to focus on what the business needs and not what the VCs need, no? Again, it's very fine, it's very easy to say, but obviously you need to also balance with what your investors and your board wants you to deliver. So that's the biggest challenge we face sometimes, should I listen to the VCs only or should I listen to the business?
What are your thoughts?
As Pablo said, I'm completely different place on that one. I'm way more capital intensive than Pablo. We raised to date around 46 million, which sounds a lot and is actually a lot. It's little for the industry. We've been lucky enough to outcompete people with 1.3 billion in funding, Inflection AI or Character AI with almost 100 millions, just because we spend the money in what our thesis was, which is distribution, as I mentioned before. Now, having said that, responding to your question, Sonia, on how to raise money, given that most is going to enterprise, which is true, I think we very soon came to realize that the investment thesis of VCs in Europe and Spain are not very aligned with that capital needs that consumer requires. That's not necessarily bad. It's a different view of how to manage your portfolio, how to manage your different bets. So from the very beginning, we were lucky enough to raise money from San Francisco, and we kept raising money out there. We managed to close investors like Khosla Ventures, Sequoia, A-Star, so big brands that were willing to take that, I know, kind of a binary bet on whether this works or not. That is something that I have struggled to find in Europe. Again, that's not necessarily bad. It's a different way to put your thesis and put your money into work, but that has been our reality from the beginning. We couldn't raise money in Europe. Most of our investors are American or Latin American in this case.
We only have a couple more minutes left, and we have to be really strict with timing today, because yesterday we went over, so I was told, okay, keep it strict. Yep. So I have one more question for both of you. I think that if we think about this all, there's a lot of competition, right? So there is competition, there's this need to do something that's unique, that's appealing to our users. So what would you say, for you, Pablo, what do you think makes you guys stand out? And what is one lesson that you have learned about scaling tech in a sector like real estate?
Yeah, so I think the holistic approach towards not just property buying or doing renovation or doing property management, in the PropTech scene, you have a lot of players in each one of the verticals, but our approach has always been towards what is the real pain of the client. It's not just property buying, because once you buy the property, then you have to manage it, then you have to renovate it, whatever. It's about taking care of their property wealth managers. That's how we position ourselves. So having that holistic approach and always knowing what we are good at and what we are not good at, working with partners. Now, I always mention our beloved Juan Roch from Mercadona, who works with those partners and has allowed them to scale. And this is the same way we operate. We work with local partners in each of the destinations where we invest, and we allow them to grow through tech, through processes, through operations, but always knowing that they are the experts on property management, on renovations, on whatever. I wouldn't try to do the verticals in-house.
So thinking holistically, knowing what you can and can't do, so that requires a certain level of humbleness, I think, and honesty. Last kind of 30 seconds from you. So what is it that you think makes you guys stand out, and how do you, what are some of the lessons that you've learned in terms of staying competitive in this space?
10 seconds. So I think it's about being able to embrace the pain. So we're working over a technology base that is moving extremely, extremely quickly, which means that everyone that is not 24/7, 7 days a week, thinking about AI is going to fall behind. Because they're going to fall behind, they're going to leave you a space to maneuver and play. And that's painful and it's complicated, but it's a huge opportunity that I don't know how many times we're going to have in front of us.
Thank you. I would love to continue the conversation, but I was told, be strict with time, so I'm being strict with time. Thank you so much, Alvaro. Thank you so much, Pablo.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.